Hello, everybody. Yeah, the ABCs of voiceover. I really love teaching this to my students. I think it's a great way to dive into script analysis that will help with performance. We're in the era of the conversational read, which is quite difficult for some people. So the number one way to make it real is to think of character, be an actor. Don't just think that you're narrating. The trick with voiceover is to read off of a piece of paper and not sound like you're reading off of a piece of paper. So these ABCs will help people with that for sure. Cool. Well, let's get started. Evan, what do you think A is? I'm just going to throw you under the bus here. What do you think A is?
Well, I know I should know this, but do you want me to really try to guess? I think it's audience.
Audience. Fantastic. It is audience.
I think I just remembered it.
There we go. Yes, perfect. So our audience can be put into two categories when we're thinking about our scripts. Number one is, who is the demographic? So if it's a cartoon that you're auditioning for, or if it's for a commercial, thinking of who are they dedicating this show or commercial to. This is probably going to play into your own character work. So let's say it's 7-Eleven. Well, you want to start thinking, who are the people who go to 7-Eleven? Now that's going to help me that's going to be the character that I probably take on. And as well as thinking of, who are you talking to? Now you can create a character in your head of who you're talking to. Or if you know somebody, I just use 7-Eleven as an example. But yeah, if you know someone who just loves 7-Eleven, or, Slurpee's post soccer game or anything like that, like really think of that person. That was 100%. All of us as kids. Oh my gosh. So the demographic ties into also, who are you talking to? So outside of the script, demographic is who's watching the show or who's buying, or probably going to be watching the commercial. Then we can go within the script and think of the audience of who's the audience to your character. Are you talking to one person? Are you talking to multiple people? Are they close to you? Are they far away? That just comes, that addresses vocal technique of if you need to project your voice, or if you can just talk at a normal conversational level, or is it a really private conversation you need to whisper? But then also thinking about, what are the relationships between your character and the people that you're talking to? Do you like each other? Is it a professional relationship? Are you arch nemesis and you hate each other? Right? Thinking about that, thinking of your audience and the relationship to your audience will really help as well.
Very cool. And what do you find that most newer students are missing? Is it the audience of the character, or is it the actual audience of the medium, like whether it's an ad or?
Sometimes it can be a little bit of both, but I would say within the script, thinking, going that next level, right? The difference between film and TV and then motion capture, where you're on a green screen, I say there's a lot of interaction with that world, right? Obviously for film and TV, you've got your set, you've got your props, you've got your other actor. Green screen, you don't have as many props, but you still have boxes that you can climb on and you're still with the other actor. Voiceover, you have to create this whole world in your crazy little booth. It's like you're a little insane asylum, I sometimes joke. You're creating worlds in your head, but you really have to put yourself in there. And as I said, parts in the scene where you need to be whispering, or parts in the scene where you need to be projecting your voice, and then thinking, how does your character differ from talking to their best friend versus talking to their boss at work, finding those subtle differences. So I'd say that's probably a piece of the puzzle that I always have to remind my students. Usually our commercials are never dedicated to a person. You're not quite often talking to someone. If you can think of somebody that you know, think of how far are they? Are they sitting right next to you and you're talking to them over coffee? Or are they across the room? Are you doing a TED Talk-esque kind of commercial? That will also really help create a more personable level to your commercial reads. Yeah, let us move on. Backstory. So I really like talking about backstory. What do you think I mean when I say backstory there, Evan?
So I'm going to say, getting into the character's world more, like not just knowing who your audience is, but to me, that would mean like, at first glance, just understanding what motivates the person speaking.
For sure.
That might be
Yeah,
part
I
of it.
think it's, yeah. I think we know backstory in the way of any theater actors out there, or film and TV actors. You create this elaborate backstory, or if you have a full script, you can go through the script and create, who are they? What did they go through in childhood? Why are they the character they are today? Which is super, super helpful. But I like to think of backstory more so of what just happened to the scene that you're auditioning for.
Right.
This can just help us really simplify things, especially when we don't know the script. So those big elaborate backstories, always go, be careful with those, because you want to get that from the script, and you want to do a detailed script analysis, and you don't want to just create random history for your story, for your character, that just might not make sense to the story. So if it's just for an audition, I say just think about what just happened. So you get a scene, let's say it's for animation, and you just want to think about what led to this scene. I mentioned in the podcast that we did, that you could think about the example of someone coming home, and the scene starts with them entering their bedroom door, shutting it, and they lean against their bedroom door. Well, I have to think about emotionally, where is my character starting? And so to be able to find that, I have to think about what happened before that scene. Did she just break up with her boyfriend? Did they just have their first kiss and tell each other they love each other? Did she trip on the stairs coming? I don't know. You want to be really specific, right? It just helps you find that starting point for your character. And so that's obviously within the animation world. But if we take that into the commercial world, the what just happened, again, that just helps you create a story. It creates a why are you saying what you're saying, right? Again, with this conversational read. It's really hard sometimes to sound conversational and to sound like, why normal people don't talk like this. Like, how am I supposed to take this script and sound conversational about it? So not only just thinking about who you're talking to, but thinking about a little story that led up to it. Let's take Tide Pods, for example.
Right.
And you're supposed, the script is like, Tide Pods are great for those last minute accidents, take stains out in less than 2 hours or something like that. You could create a little story like you and your friend are having a glass of wine before going out. Their cat jumps up on the counter and knocks over the glass of wine, and it spills all over her top. And she goes, no, I have to leave. We have to go in an hour. I have no idea. This is my only top, blah, blah, blah. And then you can go, no worries. With Tide Pods, you can, and then you can go into your read because you've created this story. It seems silly. It seems like extra work, but it can really, really help people get into that place. Again, finding that conversational place. All right, guys, moving on to character. I'll just put that right there. Obviously knowing who your character is really, really important. With commercial, you might not know who your character is. You might just be the AVO or the VO, and they haven't really told you, a name for your character, who they are. So again, thinking of that demographic of the brand, McDonald's is a different demographic than, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. I was just like whiskey, but now I can't. A whiskey brand is failing me. Tennessee whiskey or something like that. Yeah. Or that's a different brand to Tide Pods, which is a different brand to, who their demographic is and who they're talking to is different. So then with each of those commercial, if this was in the commercial world, you can kind of think of, who do I want to be? Do I want to be a mom talking to another mom? And now I'm going to create think of her age, think of her voice, what's her profession. With animation, obviously, we can really dive into her character. The more specificity, the better. So what's their name, their age, voice. So voice, we can play around with vocal placement. Are they naturally loud speaking? Are they a bit more quieter? I've talked about pacing. Do they talk really quickly? Do they talk more slowly? The profession comes into play. Sometimes a profession just perfectly pops us into a character. Thinking of a police officer or thinking of a lawyer, sometimes you just like automatically assume characteristics for those professions. So if that helps you pop into the character a little bit more, that's really helpful. Archetypes are great to look into. Are they a rebel? Are they more of a ruler? Are they the innocent? Are they the orphan? That can help you also, again, just more characteristics to flush out your character. Hero versus villain, super objective. What are they? If you only got one scene, what's the objective in the scene. But if you can think of overall, are they, you know, like Neville Longbottom and Harry Potter, he just wanted to fit in. Like he just wanted to be part of the group, which is a different objective to Harry Potter, right? Who like really wanted to save the world, or he just couldn't not save the world, which was different to Draco Malfoy. You know, I don't know why Harry Potter came into my head there, but a perfect example of all these different characters with different objectives. And yes, what do they look like? How do they move? Do we have to get into our bodies to kind of aid the voice and the performance? Yes, thinking about character is probably the most important before we dive into the script. Next is desire, or as many actors might use the term, objectives. So just what's driving your character? Why are they doing the things they're doing? Then that leads us to the term tactics. So how do they go about getting what they want? You know, if they're a more positive character, is their way of achieving their goal just finding out more information, making more friends, asking for help? Or is their way to get what they want manipulating people and making people feel bad about themselves, or pushing people away, or using physical violence? Like that's how you can think of the tactics. And yeah, if they're not able to achieve what they're achieving, those are the conflicts that are arising in a story. How does your character overcome conflict? That's a really good one. So that, again, you might see this more within animation reads than for commercial reads. But that might be like, just adds to your character of why are they talking about Tide Pods? Are they wanting to be helpful? Are they wanting to seduce? Are they, you know, we can then go to the tones of selling, right? Wow. That can be helpful. But yeah, desire and objectives really tie into our animation reads. Oh yeah, energy. All right. We have 3 types of energy. I really like this one as well. We have got here, I'm just going to move we've got our psychological energy, physical energy, and emotional energy. Evan, what do you think the difference between those 3 might be?
Oh boy.
Sorry to throw it at
some of it. So like what you're actually doing with your, what you're doing with your body, what you're doing with your gestures.
Yeah.
I'd say like your mental state, like, are you leaving that behind when you enter the booth? Like, I guess, or maybe that's more emotional. Okay, psychological and emotional. Maybe I'm a bit like are a bit tricky for me, but emotional would just be like, does it sound happy? Does it sound sad? Yeah, those are some of my guesses here.
I love it. They're so good, so good there, Evan. Yeah, physical, like. One, physically, what are we doing with our bodies? I do encourage people to stand most times. However, there is a time when, sometimes for my sassy reads, I like to cross my arms and I actually lean up against a wall. For whatever reason, physically getting into that body position helps. If it's a really intimate, you know, narration piece, maybe you do want to sit and get really close to that mic, and it's just a really conversational, intimate piece. You know, do stuff with your body to help you get that right read. The other way, though, for physical, I really encourage people is read your scripts. This is more so for animation. But really, really read what's happening in the scene. Because if the scene is a very excitable scene and your character, let's say, stole something from a museum, and then all the alarms go off and now they're running out of that museum, and then the guards come and they're shooting at them and they're having to dodge, and they're, you know, it's a very different way to go, oh man, those are the sirens. Let's go. Hurry up. Oh man, careful. You know, that's not adding any excitement versus, oh man, the alarms, we gotta go quick. Whoa, watch out. You know, like adding all of that energy, the physical, we call them efforts. So those are the vocalizations of our physical movement. So running, you know, the breathiness, if you're having to dodge, those kind of noises. If you're ever fighting or punching, you know, video game stuff, make sure you are vocalizing those efforts. Make sure you're adding that next level of physical performance to it, because that's just a really quick way to get nixed with your audition. It just shows that you haven't read your script. But of course, if there's stuff like that in a commercial piece, you know, sometimes you get those character-y pieces and you're not reading what's happening on screen or in everything in your script, and you miss some physical beats. that doesn't bode well for you. So
Right.
thinking about the physicality within the scene as well as within your own body is really important. Then the emotional energy, which you nailed as well, Evan, is just emotionally, where is our character? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they frustrated? Are they confused? Our characters should always have an emotional shift from beginning to end within an animation piece, right? They've got their objectives. Did they achieve their objective or not? How do they feel about that? There's got to be some kind of shift, or there's no point to the spot. You know, even in kids' shows where everything's very simple and everything's very spelt out, they always learn something, right? There's always a piece of the puzzle. So there should always be a subtle shift emotionally. And I think it's also good to check in with yourself where you are emotionally. If you're feeling really frustrated, you know, sometimes you do 20, 30 reads and you're just like, I can't do it right now. Listen to yourself, take the break, get out of the booth, go have a glass of water, talk for a bit, zone out for a bit. If you can let it, just relax. Cause, being in touch with yourself as an actor is really helpful. And if you're feeling, if you have to do some really deep emotional stuff in your scene, like, can you get there as well within your own body? Things like that can be really helpful. Okay. Psychological. I really like this one. It's the subtext of a scene. What's not being said? I really like this one. We've all done it where you meet someone or you're at an event and you come up against someone that you hate or you don't like, but you have to pretend, you have to be polite. Oh, Kyle, it's so great to see you. Yes. How are the kids? Right. And we know, everyone watching knows that your character hates this person, but everything that's coming out of their mouth is that they're trying to be positive and kind. Or we see this a lot with romantic duos, right? Where nothing's being said, but there's just this feeling of romance, feeling like something's bubbling between the two characters. So it's also really good to be aware of what's not being said between characters. What's their relationship? What are they saying? Does what they're saying and what's happening match? That can be really, really helpful. Yeah. And does it come into play as much in our commercial reads, the psychological, the subtext? Maybe not as much. Maybe more so for the character commercial spots that we have when you're just being the AVO. I don't think you have to worry about it as much, but it might be helpful to think about here and there. This is very specifically for animation. Definitely think about the subtext. Yeah. So this leads us to our F in our ABCs. I haven't been saying our ABCs. A, B, C, D, E, that was energy. Now we're on to F, focus, forget, and fun. This is one that gets overlooked a lot as well. And this is less about getting into your scripts, but the prep work before your script. And so this is part of it, do your ABCs, sit down with your script, mark them up. But it's so surprising to me how often people don't read their scripts out loud. And that's part of the prep work, right? We can be really efficient readers in our head, but as soon as we have to read out loud, there's just sometimes a disconnect. So the more you can read your script out loud, the more you build that connection between your brain and your mouth muscle, which sounds really funny, but it's true. And just read it, like truly, truly, truly read it 20 times, 30 times, really get that comfortable. We don't ever have to memorize our scripts for voiceover, but I want you to be super familiar with them. That if you did, look over at if you're acting with somebody, or if you were mimicking that you were looking at someone, you could come back to your script and know where you would need to be in the script. Being familiar with the words, if there's any hard to pronounce words, definitely know how to say the company name, if it's a commercial or anything like that, definitely know that you know how to say all of that. But then also after that, once you feel familiar with it, there are certain sometimes melodies to a script or certain pacing to a script, and you can't really play with that until you're very familiar with the words. I did an audition for McDonald's. This was back when we were doing in-person auditions. And at least here in Vancouver, you didn't get your script until you got there. So I always recommend to people, if we ever get back to in-person or you're doing an in-person audition, show up early, get your script, get outside or get out of the room and prep your script. Read it out loud over and over and over again. And I did that with this McDonald's script. I just read it and read it and read it. And it was a really funnily worded script. There was a lot of peachiest, peachiest, lots of funny words. It's still getting me. And then I went in and I did my read, and they went, wow, you were the first person today who was able to read that all the way through without messing up.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's the reason why I booked it, but I do think that helped, because when you know what you're saying, you can find the pacing and then you can find the performance. Whether if you're kind of messing up your word, and it's okay to mess up your words, right? That's the beautiful thing about voiceovers. We can mess up, take a beat, go to the beginning, keep it going. But if, just a mess up here and there is fine. But if you're messing up so much because you just don't know the script, we can tell the difference, from a director's point of view, from a casting point of view. We can know that your intention is now just trying to read the script versus trying to be the character or trying for performance. So people think I really harp on this, but it's the number one thing I see. Even in my classes, when I give my students time to work on their scripts, the amount of times they still don't go to a corner and read their scripts out loud. I go, come on, guys, we've been doing this for 12 weeks. No, they're lovely. I love my students. But I get it. It can just kind of feel like maybe like an embarrassment thing, or you don't want to interrupt someone else's process. So if you're in a class, ask to go to the washroom or ask to go for a walk outside and read your script there. If it's an audition, go to your car or go outside or go to the washroom again. Like just finding a private spot that you can read your stuff out loud. If you're at home and you've got time, there's really no excuse to not be that familiar with your script. And it also just allows you, when you read it over and over again, you might find things in scripts that you didn't the first couple reads. And I myself, I've been doing this for 10 years. And I had that just a couple months ago where I was moving too quickly. I read the script a couple times and I'm doing the performance. And I was just like, this character isn't clicking. Like sometimes they're super positive, sometimes they're really negative, and there's nothing in the script. So I thought that was like, why are they switching back and forth? And then another great thing I recommend to people is I talked to a friend. I sent the script to my friend and was like, hey, can you run this with me a little bit? And they were like, Sarah, this character has two faces. So the character, like, that's why they were. And I was like, oh, it was one line that I had just missed continuously. So even the pros, we're moving too quickly and we don't fully read the script, but there can be so much information in that script. So read it, get familiar with it, then do your ABCs or whatever script analysis works for you to get into that character. Think about who you're talking to. And once you're really familiar with it, that's when you can just go to the mic, forget about it. You're not actively having to think about it. And then you can just be it. You can just be the character or just be whoever you've decided for your commercial read. And that's where magic happens. When we watch improv artists, or we sometimes get those clips from video games or Disney shows, and it's the two actors just bouncing off of each other. You can't get to that place unless you fully know your character and are very familiar with the script and the story. You can go off script and, like I said, improvise or bounce off of other people's improvisation. But it's really hard to get to that magic place until you're fully within the story, fully within your character. So super, super stress the focus, do the work, forget about it, and then just have fun in the moment.
Yeah. And on the client side, the clients will probably get 50% or 70% of the auditions kind of doing the same thing.
Yes.
And the people that spent that extra time are stepping out and standing out. So
for sure. And that leads to the next point there, Evan. I love that you said that was the gamble. So avoiding that safe read, because that's the thing with casting. It's so interesting to listen to where so many people's auditions they're good, but they all sound similar and they all sound the same. And it's because people are just making the same choices. And sometimes it's understandable, depending on character to character, how big of a role do they have? If you're only auditioning for something for a couple lines, probably won't vary that much. But when you do that extra work, it allows you, like everybody interprets reading differently, right? We can take Brave New World or any book from childhood, and we all had different opinions about it. It's the same with scripts. Sometimes people read the same script and one person will think something about the character that the other person doesn't. But that's what will make your read cool and unique. So the more of the analysis that you can do, you put your own interpretation onto it. You put your own flair to it. You start to notice little things in a script. Maybe you start to see it from a director point of view or a casting director point of view versus an actor point of view. It's really good to have all the pieces of the puzzles in your head. But yeah, that gamble, making strong choices. I tell my kids, it sounds really silly. Don't worry about making the wrong choices. Just worry about making strong choices. And with that, if you've got a really vague script and you're like, I don't know what they want, and you're just getting really worked up about what they want, stop thinking what they want. Go to your script, get your information, do your script analysis, and then you'll probably make pretty good choices off of that. And they're going to be strong and they're going to have your own flair to it, which is going to make it interesting to listen to. Lead in lines, sometimes we keep them because the lead in lines are a little bit of improv. You can feel free to add little things to a script. Yeah, it makes it so fun to listen to. You start to, as a casting director, casting assistant, it's so cool to see a good audition where it's genuinely good. You're like, they've got a great voice, that was great acting, to a great audition. And those are just the people that really dived into it, really dove into that character, really like they're living in the world. You can tell they're physically doing their stuff. They're just 100% the character. Voices.